Ladies and gentlemen, Oprah Winfrey's story is one of remarkable resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi, she faced early challenges that would have broken many. She was raised in an unstable home environment, subjected to neglect and abuse. Her mother struggled to provide for her, and Oprah was often shuttled between different family members, each of whom had their own difficulties. Her childhood was marked by emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. Despite these horrors, Oprah's innate intelligence and drive shone through. But even when she began to rise in the world of television, the obstacles didn't stop. Early in her career, Oprah was told she was unfit for TV and was dismissed from her first job as an evening news anchor in Baltimore. Many people in the industry doubted her abilities and her potential. It would have been easy for Oprah to internalize these rejections, to see them as confirmations of her worthlessness, but instead she did something extraordinary. She used them as fuel to ignite her passion and drive. Oprah didn't just overcome those early career setbacks, she transformed them. Rather than being discouraged by the rejection, she shifted her focus and found her voice as a talk show host. When she was offered the opportunity to host a struggling daytime talk show in Chicago, AM Chicago, she embraced it with everything she had. She brought her authentic self, her ability to listen deeply, and her empathetic nature to the show, which quickly turned it from a low-rated program into the highest-rated talk show in Chicago. Within months, AM Chicago became the Oprah Winfrey Show. But Oprah's rise to fame was not just about ratings or celebrity. She infused her show with a deep commitment to meaningful conversation, to shining a light on people's stories, to helping others overcome their challenges. It became a platform not only for entertainment, but for empowerment. Through the years, Oprah used her show to tackle tough issues like abuse, racism, and poverty, but she also used it to uplift others, giving a voice to those who were often unheard. Her ability to connect with her audience on such a personal level is what made her a cultural icon. Oprah did not just build an empire, she built a community of people who felt seen, heard, and understood. She created a safe space for people to heal, grow, and learn from each other's experiences. Even after the show ended in 2011, Oprah continued to use her platform to empower and inspire. She launched the Oprah Winfrey Network OWN, where she introduced shows that focused on personal growth, spirituality, and social change. Her book club became a launching pad for new authors, and her philanthropic efforts have funded numerous charitable initiatives around the world. Oprah's story teaches us an invaluable lesson that the greatest strength often comes from the deepest wounds. She didn't let the trauma of her childhood or the early setbacks in her career define her. Instead, she used those experiences as stepping stones to build something greater than herself. Through her vulnerability and resilience, she has empowered millions to believe in their own capacity for transformation and to overcome whatever obstacles life puts in their path. Oprah's legacy is a testament to the power of turning pain into purpose, adversity into opportunity. She didn't just survive her circumstances, she used them to build an empire of influence and compassion, proving that even the darkest of beginnings can lead to the brightest of futures. Thomas Edison is often remembered as one of the greatest inventors in history, but behind his fame and success lies an extraordinary tale of perseverance, resilience, and countless failures. Edison's journey was not a smooth path to invention, but rather a series of setbacks, challenges, and near defeats that he turned into opportunities for learning and growth. One of the most iconic inventions associated with Edison is the electric light bulb, but it didn't come easily. In fact, it was the result of thousands of failed attempts. Edison was not born into wealth or privilege, and as a young man, he worked tirelessly in various jobs to fund his experiments. He believed deeply in the power of hard work and experimentation, and his lab was a place of continuous trial and error. He famously conducted over 9,000 experiments trying to find the right filament for the light bulb. To many, this would have seemed like an exercise in futility, but to Edison, each failure was simply a step closer to success. Edison's approach to failure was revolutionary in itself. When asked about his numerous setbacks, Edison responded with his now famous quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset was the cornerstone of his resilience. He didn't see failure as a roadblock, he saw it as feedback, as part of the natural process of discovery. Every failure taught him something new, whether it was the wrong material for the filament or an inefficient electrical circuit. Rather than being discouraged, he refined his approach, took what he learned, and tried again with a new perspective. In fact, Edison's belief in persistence became legendary. When he was asked about his seemingly endless string of failures, he responded with the assurance that failure was simply the price of discovery. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up, he said, illustrating his deep conviction that success comes from perseverance, not the absence of mistakes. Edison's persistence eventually paid off. After thousands of attempts, he finally discovered the right combination of materials and technology to create the first commercially viable incandescent light bulb. This moment was transformative, not just for Edison, but for the world. The light bulb would go on to revolutionize industries, change how people lived and worked, and pave the way for countless other innovations. But Edison didn't stop with the light bulb. He went on to create the phonograph, improve the telegraph, and establish the world's first industrial research lab. His relentless drive and commitment to innovation would change the course of modern history. Yet throughout it all, it was his ability to treat failure as part of the process that set him apart from others. While many would have given up after hundreds of failed experiments, Edison's ability to embrace failure, learn from it, and persist was the key to his success. In the face of adversity, Edison's story teaches us a profound lesson. Failure is not the end of the road, it is an integral part of the journey to success. It is easy to become discouraged by setbacks, to think that failure means we are not cut out for success. But Edison's example reminds us that it is the willingness to keep going, the refusal to accept failure as a final answer, that ultimately leads to breakthroughs. His story shows that persistence, paired with a willingness to learn and adapt, is often the difference between those who succeed and those who give up. In a world that often values instant results, Edison's path to success serves as a powerful reminder that true innovation and achievement are born not from avoiding mistakes, but from using those mistakes to propel us forward. Edison's life and work continue to inspire generations of inventors, entrepreneurs, and dreamers, teaching us that success is not a straight line, it's a journey of continuous learning, experimentation, and above all, persistence. J.K. Rowling's rise to global fame is a remarkable example of how personal hardship can be transformed into a powerful driving force for success. Before Harry Potter became a worldwide phenomenon, Rowling's life was far from the fairy tale she would later write. She was a single mother living in poverty, struggling with the weight of personal loss, mental health challenges, and the burden of societal expectations. She was on welfare, barely able to make ends meet, and had a young child to care for. At a time when many would have felt defeated, Rowling did not give up on her dream of becoming a writer. She had always loved writing, but her life circumstances made it difficult to pursue that passion. In fact, it was during one of the darkest periods of her life, facing the breakdown of her marriage, living on social assistance, and battling depression, that the idea for Harry Potter began to take shape. In the midst of personal turmoil, she turned to writing as a way to escape and heal. Her writing became a lifeline, a source of solace and creativity amidst the pain. But even as she began to write Harry Potter, Rowling faced what many would have considered crushing rejection. She submitted her manuscript to 12 different publishers, only to be met with rejection after rejection. Each letter was a blow to her confidence, a reminder of the barriers that stood between her and her dream. Yet, despite the setbacks, Rowling did not give up. She didn't allow the rejection letters to define her or diminish her belief in her work. Instead, she used them as motivation to push forward, to improve her writing, and to keep trying. Rowling's resilience in the face of rejection is a testament to the strength of her belief in herself and her story. She once said, "It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all." She understood that failure wasn't something to fear, it was simply a part of the journey. It was during this period of rejection that she began to realize that the true magic wasn't just in the world of Harry Potter, but in the determination and perseverance she was cultivating within herself. Ultimately, her perseverance paid off when Bloomsbury Publishing took a chance on her manuscript, and Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was published. But even then, success didn't come overnight. The book was initially printed with a modest run, and there were still doubts about its potential. However, as word of mouth spread and children around the world fell in love with Harry, Hermione, and Ron, the series exploded into a global phenomenon. The book went on to become a multi-billion-dollar franchise, sparking movies, theme parks, and a legacy that continues to inspire millions. Rowling's story is not just about achieving success despite adversity, it's about using hardship as fuel for creativity and determination. Her struggles with poverty, rejection, and depression did not break her. Instead, they shaped her. They gave her the resilience to push through when others might have given up. Her story teaches us that even in our lowest moments, when the world seems to turn its back on us, there is a well of strength within us to keep going. She also used her own experiences with struggle to inform the story she created. Harry Potter is in many ways a story about overcoming the odds, about finding strength in the face of adversity. Just like Harry, who was raised in difficult circumstances and faced overwhelming challenges, Rowling used her personal struggles to create a world that resonated with people of all ages. The themes of resilience, friendship, and hope in Harry Potter are deeply rooted in her own life lessons. Today, J.K. Rowling is not just an author, but a philanthropist, a role model, and a voice for those who struggle with mental health, poverty, and personal hardship. Her charitable work and public advocacy are testaments to the fact that even those who face great personal adversity can go on to achieve greatness, not only for themselves, but for others as well. Rowling's journey teaches us that success doesn't come easily. It's often born from the depths of struggle and fueled by a relentless belief in one's dreams, no matter the obstacles. Her story is a reminder that every rejection is not a signal to stop, but an invitation to persevere, to keep going, and to believe in the possibility of something greater. Oprah Winfrey's story is a powerful testament to the transformative power of resilience. Her life began in deep adversity. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi, Oprah faced hardships from the very beginning. Raised by her single mother, she spent much of her childhood shuttled between family members, enduring emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. Her childhood was marked by isolation, fear, and a sense of hopelessness. But even in the face of such trauma, Oprah's innate strength began to emerge. Despite the overwhelming challenges she faced at home, Oprah found solace and strength in education and storytelling. At a young age, she began speaking publicly, winning speech contests and becoming a local favorite for her oratory skills. But even as she excelled academically, her path was far from easy. Oprah's early years were filled with rejection, both personally and professionally. She was not always seen for the immense potential she carried, and her early career in television was anything but glamorous. At the start of her broadcasting career, Oprah faced multiple setbacks and humiliations. She was told that her style was too emotional for news, and she was dismissed from her first job as a television news anchor. These early career blows could have easily derailed her, but instead they fueled her resolve. Oprah understood something essential about herself. She was not defined by her circumstances, nor was she bound by others' limitations of what she could achieve. Her big break came when she was offered the chance to host a struggling talk show, Chicago, which was on the verge of cancellation. When Oprah took the helm, she infused it with her authenticity, vulnerability, and deep compassion for others. She wasn't interested in being a distant figure reporting the news. She wanted to connect with her audience, to speak to them heart to heart. Oprah used her own painful experiences, her struggles with abuse, self-worth, and rejection as a way to connect with her viewers. She became a voice for people who felt voiceless, offering them not just entertainment, but hope, empathy, and empowerment. Under Oprah's leadership, Chicago quickly transformed, eventually becoming the Oprah Winfrey Show, which became the highest-rated talk show in America. But Oprah didn't stop there. She took her platform and used it to empower people around the world. She shifted the focus of her show from mere celebrity gossip to topics that mattered: issues of personal growth, mental health, race, spirituality, and social justice. Her guests weren't just famous faces, but everyday people with extraordinary stories. She created a space where viewers could see themselves reflected, feel heard, and find strength in one another's stories. Oprah's personal struggles became the cornerstone of her success. She was not afraid to share her pain or her mistakes. By doing so, she gave millions of people permission to embrace their own vulnerabilities and to believe that they too could overcome life's obstacles. Oprah's story is not just one of overcoming hardship, it's a story of using hardship as a platform for transformation. She turned her own trauma into something greater, using it to inform her work, her show, and ultimately her empire. Through her media empire, Oprah became a beacon of empowerment for women, marginalized communities, and anyone who felt disempowered by their circumstances. She established the Oprah Winfrey Foundation, which funds education, leadership programs, and social initiatives around the world, helping others to break free from the cycles of poverty, abuse, and oppression that she herself had once known. Her influence extends far beyond the television screen. It has shaped conversations around mental health, personal growth, and social change. Oprah's ability to take her painful childhood and early career setbacks and transform them into a powerful force for good is one of the most inspiring aspects of her legacy. She didn't allow her past to define her future. Instead, she used it as the fuel that powered her rise to the top. Oprah became a living embodiment of the idea that no matter how difficult the circumstances, we all have the power to rewrite our stories. Today, Oprah is not just a media mogul, she is a symbol of hope, strength, and the transformative power of resilience. Her life shows us that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. And it is through our response, through our ability to rise, to learn, and to grow that we create the opportunities for ourselves to become a force for positive change in the world. Oprah Winfrey's journey teaches us that no matter the depth of our pain or the size of the obstacles in our path, we have the ability to transcend them. By sharing her truth, embracing her struggles, and using her experiences to empower others, Oprah has built an empire of influence that continues to inspire generations of people to believe in their own power to overcome, to heal, and to thrive. Steve Jobs' story is one of the most iconic examples of reinvention and resilience in the history of modern business and technology. After co-founding Apple in 1976, Jobs' vision and creativity helped the company rise to unprecedented heights. He was the driving force behind some of the most groundbreaking products of the 20th century, including the Macintosh computer. However, despite his immense contributions, Jobs' time at Apple was not without conflict. In 1985, after a series of power struggles with Apple's board of directors, Jobs was ousted from the very company he had helped to build. To many, this might have been the end of Jobs' story. Being pushed out of the company he founded would have been a crushing blow to anyone's ego. Yet Jobs' ability to reinvent himself and turn adversity into opportunity is what makes his story so extraordinary. Instead of letting the setback define him, he used it as an opportunity to grow, learn, and ultimately return stronger than ever. After leaving Apple, Jobs founded Next, a computer company that focused on creating high-end workstations for the education and business sectors. Although Next wasn't commercially successful in the way Apple had been, it was a critical stepping stone in Jobs' evolution. It allowed him to continue innovating and refining his ideas about technology and design. More importantly, Next became the breeding ground for Jobs' ideas about what technology could be: a more intuitive, elegant, and user-friendly experience. This vision would later shape the future of Apple when he returned. During this period, Jobs also acquired Pixar, a small animation studio that would go on to revolutionize the film industry. Pixar's success with films like Toy Story and its subsequent dominance in the animation world not only made Jobs a billionaire, but also taught him important lessons about creativity, collaboration, and leadership. Jobs learned that leadership wasn't about control or power, it was about nurturing creativity, empowering others, and trusting in the potential of innovative ideas. These lessons would prove invaluable when he returned to Apple. In 1996, Apple, struggling with a lack of direction and a diminishing market share, acquired Next. This marked Jobs' return to the company he had once been forced to leave. And while the circumstances were different, Jobs' mindset had changed as well. He had grown from the brash, egotistical young entrepreneur into a more reflective and strategic visionary. When he returned to Apple, he didn't just try to pick up where he left off, he reinvented the company. Jobs wasted no time in making bold, transformative decisions. He streamlined Apple's product line, cutting unnecessary projects and focusing the company's energy on a few core products. He emphasized design and user experience as central pillars of Apple's identity, a philosophy that would become synonymous with the company's brand. In 2001, Jobs introduced the iPod, revolutionizing the music industry by making digital music portable and accessible. This was followed by the launch of the iPhone in 2007, a product that not only transformed the smartphone industry but reshaped entire aspects of our daily lives, from how we communicate, to how we work, to how we access information. Jobs' return to Apple was not just about product innovation, it was about reshaping the very culture of the company. He focused on creating a work environment where creative thinking and passion could thrive. He reinvigorated Apple's corporate philosophy, making it a company driven by a commitment to innovation and a sense of purpose beyond profit. The result was a tech giant that not only led the industry, but also set new standards for product design, branding, and customer loyalty. Jobs' ability to reinvent himself and his company after being ousted from Apple is a lesson in resilience and vision. It shows that setbacks are not the end, but often the beginning of a new phase of growth and transformation. If Jobs had accepted the rejection, if he had allowed his ousting from Apple to define him, we would never have seen the revolutionary products and ideas that came to shape the modern world. Instead, he used that period of separation to reflect, regroup, and return with a renewed sense of purpose. His story teaches us that success is not a straight path, it's a series of peaks and valleys, of reinventions and recalibrations. Jobs' ability to rebound, reimagine, and revolutionize not once but twice was a testament to his belief that failure isn't final, and that resilience is often born from hardship. The Apple of today, the sleek products, the loyal customers, the cultural impact was built on his willingness to embrace reinvention, to trust in his vision, and to keep pushing forward no matter the obstacles. Steve Jobs didn't just return to Apple to save the company, he returned to change the world. He became a symbol of how failure, rejection, and even being kicked out can lead to one of the most remarkable stories of comeback and innovation in history. His story proves that even the most difficult moments can be opportunities for transformation, and that sometimes the greatest successes come after the greatest setbacks. Malala Yousafzai's story is one of extraordinary courage in the face of unspeakable tragedy. Born in the Swat Valley of Pakistan, Malala was raised in an environment where education for girls was not a given. Her father, Ziauddin Yousafzai, was an outspoken advocate for education, especially for girls, and he instilled in Malala a deep love for learning. But in the region where Malala lived, the Taliban had seized control, and their oppressive ideology included a brutal stance against girls' education. At just 11 years old, Malala began writing a blog under a pseudonym for the BBC Urdu, detailing her life under the Taliban's regime and her longing for an education. Her writing was raw, honest, and fearless, providing a window into the struggles girls in her region faced. Malala's voice became a symbol of defiance against the Taliban's attempts to silence girls' aspirations. Her courage to speak out, despite the very real threat to her safety, was nothing short of remarkable. Then on October 9, 2012, Malala's life took a harrowing turn. She was shot in the head by a Taliban gunman while riding a bus home from school. The attack was a direct response to her advocacy for girls' education and her refusal to be silenced. The Taliban believed that by attacking Malala, they would quell her voice and intimidate others from standing up for the right to education. They were wrong. Miraculously, Malala survived the assassination attempt. After undergoing multiple surgeries, she was flown to Birmingham, England for further treatment and rehabilitation. The attack could have shattered her, forced her to retreat from the public eye, and led her to abandon the fight for girls' education, but instead it propelled her to an even greater level of activism. Rather than retreating into fear or bitterness, Malala turned her personal tragedy into a global movement. She refused to allow the violence inflicted upon her to define her life. Instead, she used it as a platform to speak even more forcefully for the rights of girls around the world. At the young age of 15, Malala delivered an impassioned speech at the United Nations, calling for worldwide access to education, equality, and justice. She spoke with the same strength, poise, and conviction that she had shown before the attack, but now with an amplified sense of purpose. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world, she said, encapsulating her belief in the transformative power of education. Malala's words resonated across the globe, and her story became a symbol not only of the fight for girls' education, but also of the resilience of the human spirit. Malala's recovery was just the beginning of her global advocacy. In 2013, she co-authored her memoir, I Am Malala, the Girl Who Stood Up for Education and Was Shot by the Taliban, which became an international bestseller. Her voice, now louder than ever, spread beyond the borders of Pakistan and reached millions of people around the world. She established the Malala Fund, a non-profit organization dedicated to advocating for girls' education, focusing on regions where the most marginalized girls are denied access to education. Through the fund, Malala has worked to raise millions of dollars for education projects in countries like Nigeria, Syria, and India, helping girls break through the barriers that prevent them from reaching their full potential. What is so remarkable about Malala is not just the bravery she displayed in surviving an assassination attempt, but how she transformed her personal tragedy into a beacon of hope for millions. She didn't let the violence she suffered silence her voice, rather, it amplified her commitment to fight for the rights of others. Malala has become a living symbol of courage, proving that even in the face of extreme violence, the power of education and the human spirit cannot be defeated. Her courage inspired people worldwide, girls and boys, parents, teachers, and leaders to join the fight for equality and justice in education. In 2014, at the age of 17, Malala became the youngest ever recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, honored not only for her courage, but for her unwavering commitment to making the world a better place for girls and women. But Malala's journey has never been about accolades, it has always been about empowerment. She has used her platform to speak directly to world leaders, urging them to invest in education, to end child marriage, to fight poverty, and to uphold the fundamental human right of every girl to go to school. Even in the face of danger, Malala has shown the world that the fight for justice is not about personal gain, but about lifting others up. Malala's legacy is a testament to the transformative power of courage. She could have chosen to retreat from public life, to stay silent in the face of violence and oppression, but instead she chose to speak louder than ever before. Her decision to turn her personal tragedy into a global movement has ignited a flame of hope that will continue to burn for generations to come. Her story teaches us that in the darkest of times, we have the ability to rise up, to find our voice, and to create change. Malala's life is proof that one person, even a young girl who has faced unimaginable hardships, can change the world. Resilience is often misunderstood as the ability to avoid or bounce back from adversity with ease. But in reality, resilience is not about steering clear of difficulties, it's about how we choose to face them when they arise. It is about the courage to continue when the path gets tough, and the wisdom to see obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth. Resilience is about learning to bend, not break, when life throws its hardest challenges at us. Every person, no matter their background or achievements, will face adversity at some point in their life. The difference between those who thrive and those who falter isn't the absence of difficulty, it's how they respond to it. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship, but about embracing the struggle, understanding that it is in these moments of difficulty that we have the greatest potential to learn, adapt, and grow. Take, for example, Nelson Mandela, who endured 27 years in prison under the harshest conditions. During those years, it would have been easy for Mandela to give in to bitterness, to allow anger and despair to define him. But instead, he chose to endure, to keep his mind sharp, and to focus on the cause for which he was fighting, the end of apartheid in South Africa. He used his time in prison to reflect, to strengthen his resolve, and to prepare for a time when he would return to lead his country. When he was finally released, he didn't seek revenge against those who had wronged him, he sought reconciliation. Mandela turned the long years of suffering into a powerful force for peace, justice, and unity. His resilience in the face of unimaginable hardship became the cornerstone of his legacy as a leader of the anti-apartheid movement and the first Black president of South Africa. Similarly, Thomas Edison embodies the power of resilience in the world of innovation. He famously encountered failure after failure in his quest to invent the light bulb. When his experiments seemed to fail time and again, he didn't see it as a reason to quit. Instead, he viewed each setback as an opportunity to learn. In fact, when asked about his many failures, Edison is quoted as saying, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His resilience allowed him to persist until he finally succeeded, lighting up the world with his invention. What might have looked like an insurmountable series of failures to others was, in reality, a series of steps toward success. His resilience is also the bedrock of personal growth and transformation. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, who faced both personal and professional challenges before achieving global success. As a single mother living in poverty, struggling with depression, and facing multiple rejections from publishers, Rowling could have easily abandoned her dream of becoming a writer. But she chose to keep going. Instead of succumbing to the pressures of her circumstances, she used her setbacks as fuel to push forward. When her first Harry Potter book was rejected by 12 publishers, she could have taken the rejections as an indication that her dreams were unattainable. But her resilience led her to try again, and in doing so, she created one of the most successful literary franchises in history. Her story teaches us that resilience is about persistence in the face of rejection, believing in your dreams even when the world tells you they are impossible. Resilience is also about how we handle the unexpected. Malala Yousafzai, after surviving a Taliban assassination attempt, could have retreated into fear and silence. the violence she endured could have broken her spirit. Instead, she transformed her tragedy into a global advocacy movement for girls' education and women's rights. Rather than allowing the pain of her injury to define her, Malala's resilience became the catalyst for her mission to ensure that every girl has access to education, no matter where she is born or the barriers she faces. Her ability to channel the pain and fear of her own experience into something greater, something that would change the world, is a testament to the power of resilience. Resilience, at its core, is a mindset. It's not about avoiding failure or hardship, but about approaching each challenge with a sense of purpose, determination, and faith in one's ability to adapt and overcome. The journey to resilience isn't always easy. It requires vulnerability, it requires strength, and it requires the courage to keep moving forward, even when the way ahead seems unclear. But it is through this very process of overcoming obstacles, adapting to change, and continuing to evolve that we build our greatest strength. What makes resilience so powerful is that it's not just an individual quality, it's something that can be learned and cultivated over time. Life's difficulties don't just test us, they teach us. Each struggle can build our resilience, refine our character, and deepen our understanding of who we are and what we're capable of. The challenges we face are not merely obstacles, they are opportunities in disguise. They are the forge that shapes us into stronger, more compassionate, and more capable individuals. In a world that often seems to reward perfection, resilience teaches us that it's okay to fail, to stumble, to fall. What matters most is that we rise again. It's through those moments of failure that we learn the most important lessons. The key to success and personal fulfillment is not avoiding difficulties, it's choosing to face them, to learn from them, and to rise stronger. Resilience is what allows us to turn challenges into opportunities and to transform obstacles into stepping stones for growth. So the next time we face adversity, let us remember that it is not the difficulty that defines us, but our ability to respond to it. Resilience is about choosing to rise, choosing to grow, and choosing to embrace the belief that no matter the struggle, we have the strength within us to overcome, to adapt, and to thrive. Innovation often emerges not in times of ease, but in moments of hardship. It is in the midst of adversity that the human spirit is often pushed to its limits, and that pressure forces creativity to rise to the surface. When faced with significant challenges, people are forced to think differently, to break away from conventional solutions, and to find new ways of doing things. In fact, some of the most transformative innovations in history have come from those who faced obstacles, setbacks, and struggles that seemed insurmountable at the time. Think about Apple, for example. When Steve Jobs was ousted from the company he founded, it could have been the end of his career. In fact, many thought it was. But rather than giving in to bitterness or accepting defeat, Jobs used that time away from Apple to reinvent not only himself, but also the future of technology. He created Next, a computer company that, although not commercially successful, developed key innovations in software that would later be integrated into Apple's products when he returned. Moreover, during his time at Pixar, Jobs embraced a new creative field, animation, and helped create the revolutionary Toy Story, which changed the animation industry forever. When Jobs returned to Apple, it was with a renewed vision for the company, which eventually led to the creation of the iPod, iPhone, and iPad products that revolutionized the tech world and reshaped how we interact with technology. Jobs' time away from Apple, which many might have viewed as a failure, became the very catalyst for the next phase of Apple's success. The power of adversity in sparking innovation can also be seen in the life of Albert Einstein, who as a young man faced failure in almost every traditional academic sense. He struggled to find work as a teacher and was dismissed from his first job as a patent examiner. Yet it was in the quiet of his day-to-day routine, analyzing patents and solving problems, that he began to think in radically new ways. It was during this period of professional struggle that Einstein developed his theory of relativity, one of the most groundbreaking ideas in the history of physics. Had Einstein not faced the early challenges in his career, he may never have developed the independent thinking that led to his great discoveries. In the world of medical breakthroughs, Dr. Paul Farmer, a physician and anthropologist, showed how adversity can drive innovation in public health. Raised in a poor, working-class family, Farmer witnessed firsthand the impact of health inequity and the lack of access to medical care. Rather than accept these conditions as the status quo, Farmer set out to change the way healthcare was delivered in impoverished parts of the world. His work in Haiti, where he helped develop a model of community-based healthcare, revolutionized the treatment of infectious diseases like tuberculosis and HIV/AIDS. His innovative approaches to healthcare delivery, which included integrating treatment with community outreach and support systems, transformed the lives of thousands of people in some of the world's most disadvantaged communities. Farmers' struggles, both personal and professional, sparked the creative drive to reimagine global health systems. The Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, provide another powerful example of innovation born from adversity. Their dream of flight faced not only skepticism from the scientific community, but also financial difficulties and mechanical failures at every turn. Their early attempts at flight were fraught with setbacks, crashes, broken parts, and countless redesigns. Yet, their perseverance and creativity through adversity led to the first successful powered flight in 1903, changing the course of history and opening the door to modern aviation. Had they not faced the obstacles they did, both financial and technical, the world might not have seen the development of air travel for many more years. Adversity has a way of breaking us down, but it can also build us up in ways that ease and comfort never could. Take Frida Kahlo, the renowned Mexican artist whose physical pain and suffering became the foundation of her most iconic works. At the age of 18, Kahlo was severely injured in a bus accident, which left her with lifelong pain and physical disabilities. During her long recovery, she began painting as a way to cope with her pain. The adversity she faced transformed her work into deeply personal reflections on suffering, identity, and resilience. Her art, though born from physical trauma, became a source of strength for others, and today Kahlo is regarded as one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. Even in today's rapidly evolving world, we continue to see innovation sparked by adversity. Consider the recent global health crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced the world into lockdowns, isolation, and uncertainty. While this was a time of unprecedented challenge, it also accelerated many technological innovations, especially in the areas of remote work, digital education, and healthcare. The pandemic forced entire industries to innovate quickly. Medical professionals rapidly developed vaccines. Scientists leveraged mRNA technology to create a vaccine that could fight not just one virus, but potentially others in the future. Meanwhile, businesses had to adapt their operations almost overnight, creating new models for remote collaboration, virtual services, and e-commerce. The pandemic revealed how adversity could spark rapid innovation, forcing the world to rethink how we work, learn, and even stay connected. Innovation thrives under the pressure of adversity because it forces us to think outside the box, to push boundaries, and to stretch our imagination in ways that comfort and success never do. Hardship strips away the distractions and focuses our minds on finding solutions. It forces us to ask the question, what is possible now? It is through adversity that new ideas are born, that solutions are crafted, and that we uncover new paths toward progress. The challenge, of course, is how we respond to adversity. It's easy to give in to despair, to allow obstacles to defeat us. But those who choose to embrace adversity, to see it as an opportunity rather than an obstacle, will often find that the very challenges they face lead to the most profound breakthroughs. Whether in technology, science, business, or the arts, the most transformative innovations often come from those who refuse to be defeated by hardship and instead choose to rise up and innovate in the face of it. Adversity, while painful and difficult, has a unique way of driving us to innovate in ways we never thought possible. It is when we are tested, when we are forced to overcome, that we tap into our true creative potential. Through adversity, we don't just survive, we innovate, we adapt, and we create a better future. Failure is often seen as the ultimate setback, something to fear or avoid at all costs. Yet, in reality, failure is one of the most powerful teachers we have. It is not something to be ashamed of or to hide from, but rather an invaluable opportunity to reflect, learn, and ultimately grow. Failure, in its most raw and unfiltered form, holds within it the seeds of transformation and improvement. It is a signal that we are pushing the boundaries, taking risks, and stepping out of our comfort zones, and that is exactly where growth happens.